The last generation of consoles and games were absolutely insane. The innovation in technology, quality, and in the standard for video games rose to an all-time high. I mean, with games like RDR2 and God of War 2018 being released, the bar can only keep rising. But there was a game before either of those that was a standout in a year of primarily okay games. A game that took me by surprise, and I'm sure the whole world by surprise. A game that before the sequel released I wanted to take a look back on. A game that rivaled Breath of the Wild even. I wanted to see what it did, see how it holds up, and see what we can expect in the upcoming sequel this February. Let's take a look back on Horizon Zero Dawn before Forbidden West.
What she made me for. Yes, I will do it. I'll try anyway.
All praise Aloy, anointed of the Nora. All praise Aloy, anointed of the Nora. All praise Aloy, anointed of the Nora.
First you shun me, now this? I will not be worshipped. I'm not your anointed. I don't belong to you. There's a whole world beyond your borders, whole tribes of people just as good as you. And it is all in danger.
Children, come with me. She's an outcast, to be shunned.
Let's take a step back to the year 2000, literally the start of it, the 1st of January, where a Dutch game studio by the name of Lost Boy Games was founded by 3 smaller studios, however was acquired by Media Republic 3 years later in 2003. From then on, it was renamed to Guerrilla Games. Now, Guerrilla originally worked on games for the Game Boy Color, however after their rebranding, their parent company set them to work on 2 new titles, Killzone and Shellshock Nab. Now the latter, Shellshock, was released to very critical reviews, but had a sequel released in 2009 that completely flopped. However, Killzone was a tiny bit more successful, and received way better, with it averaging around 6 to 7 or even 8s out of 10s from reviewers. However, it was still found to be disappointing to most of the FPS audience. Its sequel, Killzone 2, however, was critically acclaimed. It sold 300,000 copies in the first 24 hours, and was receiving upwards of 9 out of 10s from most reviewers. This game really put Guerrilla Games on the map of development studios, and Killzone 3 was then released in 2011 to around the same praise, however faulted it for being a step back. In the background of this, Guerrilla had been bought by multiple parent companies. However, Sony eventually bought the entire studio in the December of 2005. With the more than stellar sales of Killzone, Guerrilla was looking for a new IP, something they could work on outside of Killzone. They scrambled through many genres from MMOs and fantasies, etc. However, in 2010, the art director Vangaurd pitched what the game's director has since labelled as the riskiest idea put forward, and this would be the foundation for what would become Horizon Zero Dawn. With a small team of 20 set to work on it, and with the narrative director being John Gonzalez, the former lead writer of Fallout New Vegas, they ran through multiple concepts for the game. However, through all these concepts, the idea of a female lead in what would become Aloy stayed, and upon the completion of the PS4 exclusive Killzone Shadowfall, Guerrilla put their full might into this game, with them even cancelling another game to work on it. There's tons of more little details and laps that Guerrilla had to overcome in the creation of the game that I won't be able to cover. However, I will leave a link to a great documentary on it in the description. The game, like all others, was leaked in 2014 with concept art and the game's name Horizon, and was officially revealed at E3 2015 during Sony's press conference with a trailer and gameplay demo, and with the title being revealed as Horizon Zero Dawn. At this time, I wasn't in the industry side of video games that much, kinda granted, considering I was 11 years old, but I just never found myself interested in this game, and even after its release, I never found myself being interested in it at all. Subsequently, the game was announced for release in 2016, however was delayed to February 2017, in which, as I said, I ignored it. It sold the highest in any game in the UK that week of release and was the second most downloaded game in North America during its release, with Frozen Wilds, a DLC expansion, being released later that year, giving Aloy access to a new area, new tribe, and a bunch of other things. Now, as I said, I was never really interested in this game. However, one day in 2019, I looked on the PlayStation Store and found the complete edition selling for maybe under £10, so I decided why not. Let's see what this game has in store for me, and I dropped it. But I soon picked it back up, and then I've also replayed it from start to finish for this video to have the clearest picture of the game, its characters, etc. So after all this has been said and done, what was it like? 2019, booting this game up on my PS4 for the first time. Let's finally begin Horizon Zero Dawn. Horizon Zero Dawn opens with a beautiful beginning cinematic, voiced over by the father figure, Rost. His dialogue gives us not only context on Aloy's situation and supposed birth, but also of the small tribe we will be situated with throughout the beginning of the game, the Nora, which I will touch on more later. We get to see the world as it has become, with a plain view of how long it's been since modern society has collapsed, as we see buildings on their last legs and various machines roaming the world. We found an ally in High Matriarch Tirsa, as Aloy's name is blessed and we're giving the main menu.
No, off your knees. It's nearly time. And yes, you may speak to me.
You came to bless the naming.
Have not 6 months gone by since we entrusted her to you?
But we are outcasts.
You by choice. And she, well... I am a High Matriarch, Rost. I bless whom I choose.
Then you honor us.
Yes, now go, and be ready to declare. Go! Oh, Mother, this child needs a name by which to know her. That your love may warm her life as the rising sun warms all the earth. Speak her name!
Aloy!
And so her name is blessed.
Stop this at once!
What have you done?
I've blessed the naming of a child.
Stubborn woman, you call that curse a child? What did she tell you about his birth, outcast? Answer!
I've done only what you asked.
To raise it, yes. We said nothing of love.
Enough.
And you, blessing its name like it was one
I
of the
know my
Nora,
duty
one
to
of the
them.
tribe.
And to you.
Without consultation.
I'm here.
Did all year, did
And wherever you go, I will follow.
This cinematic alone is so well done. It gives you a solid premise of what the world is like, Aloy and Ross' situation with them being outcasts, along with an insight into the Nora's hierarchy and traditions with high matriarchs and blessings, almost like Christian baptism. We also hear Ross speak of the Old Ones and the people who turned their back on the goddess. There's a living, breathing society and world being established here with religion, culture and politics that I just couldn't wait to explore. Fast forward 6 years later and we finally meet Aloy as a child, which is a brilliant decision. Giving us an insight into Aloy's life as someone who cannot understand what she is a great way for us to connect with her as we see the repercussions of being labelled as an outcast in this tribe.
Well done, that's a good boy. Children, come with me. She's an outcast, to be shunned. There. Oh, come on. There.
Aloy is a child who has done nothing. She simply cannot process the idea of being punished for having just existed. She's bright, curious, and young, who has never been given any kind of need to fight for anything. However, as we see this anger turn into determination, and we see her grow, that will soon change. However, before that, in a fit of anger, Aloy finds herself accidentally in the ruins of a forgotten cave, and this is our first introduction to the previous world of the Old Ones, which gives us even more insight into Aloy's character. Not only her curiosity as she finds her focus, a core aim of the game that I will touch on later, but also the side that has been created by not having that family, in a scene that makes me smile, but also makes me quite sad every time I see it.
You think I want it this way? It's the best I can do. He's right behind you. Hi! Happy birthday, Isaac. Daddy sure does love his little big man. Look, Daddy can't be there with you and Mom, but we can still have a party, right? Sure we can.
Show me. Show me again.
I can do. He's right behind you. Hi! Happy birthday, Isaac. Daddy sure does love his little big man. Look, Daddy can't be there with you and Mom, but we can still have a party, right? Sure we can.
The happiness that floods Aloy's face as she sees a genuine act of familial love is sweet, but also extremely heartbreaking as she has never had this. As much as Ross is a father figure, he's mostly a guardian, a mentor, and just makes us feel even more empathetic for Aloy's character. Aloy finds her way back to Ross, argumentative but however with a new asset. The focus I mentioned earlier helps her access those recordings and that technology you found in the ruins. It makes Aloy at the end of the day more intelligent, and throughout this little section builds to criticise the traditions of the Nora one by one, which we will see throughout the game. Ross decides to begin training Aloy to protect herself, and thus beginning multiple tutorials with you learning the basics of combat but also of stealth as you save a young man, Teb, from being killed by machines. However, you're once again shunned by his family due to your status. I'll delve into these systems a bit later when I talk about gameplay, but let's focus more on the story right now. Later on, while thinking about the earlier encounter, we find the children who were pushed away from Aloy now throwing rocks at her. These kids who should be acting like children are essentially enforcing all that they know, all they've been manipulated to think, their tribal laws and traditions. It's not their fault, it's the fault of the ritualistic and discriminating culture that is the Nora. It's here that we get introduced to dialogue options. They match all of Aloy's personality, as you have 3 options for every encounter. You can choose between a headstrong response, the most aggressive of the 3, where Aloy acts on her impulse and emotions, a more thought out response, where Aloy either outsmarts or produces the most viable solution through logic and thought, or the heartwarming answer in which Aloy chooses the most peaceful and lighthearted option. Personally, I danced between the more logic-based and loving options, as I felt they suited most situations best. After this incident, Aloy finds herself even more frustrated by the tribe and her situation. She simply can't understand why she is being punished for being alive, and for the reasons she doesn't know, apart from being motherless. Who was her mother? Why is knowledge of the Old Ones forbidden? All these flaws and holes in this culture that everyone she's seen worships and follows lead to her frustration to turn into pure drive, to find these answers as she finds a goal and something to fight for and towards in the proving.
Why? Why am I an outcast?
Aloy, this is not the time.
Who was my mother?
Aloy, I've told you before, that's not for us to know. You were just a newborn when the matriarchs brought you to me.
So the matriarchs, they know?
It's not so simple.
But they know.
Aloy, we are outcasts.
So how do I make them tell me?
The matriarchs? There is a way, perhaps.
So tell me.
It would be dangerous.
How?
It would take years of training.
I don't care. How do I do it? Tell me.
The proving. The tribe's rite of passage held every year. Those who pass become braves. But to the one who wins, the matriarchs grant a boon.
A boon?
Yes, whatever the winner wants.
Then I'll do it. Whatever it takes. I'll win the proving.
I see. We'd best get started then. Your training will be hard, and it'll take years.
Start training? Yes. Follow.
After this montage, we finally begin our journey as Aloy. The Proven is 2 days away, and she is so close to finally gaining the answers she so desperately wants. We speak to Rost, and we are told to run a few errands in preparation for a challenge, and hence we are let into the Nora lands. In this playthrough, I took my time and tried to explore everywhere and help as many people as I could, while keeping a steady pace on the main story. I helped some locals who lost a memento, helped a fellow outcast who only spoke to the All-Mother, and bought some trinkets from a vendor to continue the story. Every character was so unique as I ran through this beginning area, exploring to my heart's content. I was instantly immersed as I destroyed machines for parts and crafting, along with selling to gain some currency. As I tackled all of this, along with Rost's challenge in fighting a Sawtooth, which is just a great opening to the big solo battles you'll be having with larger machines like Thunderjaw's lair, I found myself ready to take on the Proving. However, first comes a scene that is crucial in establishing Aloy's arc.
I'm ready to do this. See you back home in a few days?
You will not find me there, Aloy. Here. Take this to remember.
Why are you talking like we'll never see each other again? No. No!
You should be with the tribe. And I will always be an outcast.
But I told you, I have that figured out. I'll come to you in secret. I'll be the one breaking the law, not you. You don't even have to talk to me.
This attachment to me will only hold you back. It's my wish that you embrace the tribe. You've lived in isolation long enough.
Until now, I didn't.
For your sake, I must go where you will never find me. This is goodbye.
No, it's not. You taught me how to track. Wherever you go, I can follow.
Not this time.
This time. And every time. I'll be wearing this when I find you.
May All-Mother bless you, Aloy.
And you.
Aloy's fight against Rost leaving is the start of her arc of learning to fight for something after her answers have been given. And while Rost means to fight for the Nora and to embrace them, Aloy will learn to fight for more than just them, but for everyone she meets along her journey. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Aloy is welcomed into Mother's Heart by Mother Tirsa, and as she finally gets to see what this kind of life is like after being in isolation, she spots an interesting speech being told by the Carja.
Bless the Proving. But first, we have guests to welcome.
For 2 years, we have been at peace with the Carja. It is time to restore our bonds of trade with Meridian. These envoys come to us under a banner of peace.
An enunciation of gratitude written by the hand of Sun King of
Killers and slavers!
Hey, luminance of
hold your fruit, Nora Faithful, hold your fruit. Now I'm Azaram, not Carja, so I'll put it to you straight. The 13th Sun King was a murderous bung. Oh, he was. He was a tyrant and a monster. He raided my tribe for a blood sacrifice, just like yours. My own sister was taken. I hated the Carja. But the 13th king is dead. 2 years now. And who killed him? The 14th. Not because he lusted for power, but because someone had to put an end to his father's atrocities.
Yeah!
The message that this poor priest means to read is an apology. Straight from the lips of the 14th king. So please, Can't you lend him your ears?
Aloy spots a man wearing a focus similar to her named Olin. He becomes jittery and leaves. However, Erend, a supporting and reoccurring character, introduces himself. Erend is an extremely likeable character who we'll talk about later in this video. He's also Oseram, representing Meridian's Vanguard from the city of Meridian, as part of a sign of peace post a war in the previous years due to a corrupt Sun King. Meridian is the centre point of culture and trading in this world and the map, which we will spend a majority of our time exploring. But right now, let's continue on to the proving. We perform a ritual and find our bed for the night as we get some insults thrown our way. However, we make a friend in Vala as we head to sleep for the next day. In the morning, all participants attend the proving, and thus begins Aloy's final trial in order to gain answers. You fight through multiple trials, with Aloy even taking a broken down route in order to finally win and come in first place, and it's a really fun parkour set piece. However, men wearing the same focuses as Aloy attack the proving, seeking to kill her, with a man named Helis overwhelming Aloy and almost killing her. However, Rost comes in last minute to make sure she survives and sacrifices himself so she can have a chance at finally getting the answers to her life up until that point.
Turn your face to the sun, child. Burn it all, then to your task.
As you command.
Aloy. Aloy. Survive.
Aloy awaits inside the All-Mother Mountain, an Old One's facility that the Nora have turned into a religious site. She retrieves her gear and with a focus she stole from one of the assailants, starts unraveling the mystery that will take Aloy across this journey, as she realises the target was herself, and that she is targeted due to a relation to a mysterious woman she bears a striking resemblance to in look and DNA. Is she her mother? Why is she so important? Even more questions for Aloy to find answers for. We also find that she was seen through the focus of the man from earlier, Olin, and so she now has a target to look for, but not before Matriarch Tirsa finds Aloy and finally gives her some answers she's been waiting for. She's told that she was born in the mountain, hence her being motherless. She was viewed as a gift from the Metal Devil, and so was outcast, thrown into the hands of Rost, with only Tirsa believing she was a gift from the All-Mother. Aloy walks up to the vault door as it almost recognises her due to her matching relation to the previous mysterious woman. However, with part of the data being corrupted, she cannot enter. She's told that if she were to find a way to fix this, she would surely be able to enter, and so Aloy is yet given another goal. So in order to find out who these killers are and what they want, along with open the large door in All-Mother Mountain, Aloy is anointed a Seeker, a person able to venture out of the sacred lands and not be punished. And with everything set in stone, thus ends the introduction of Horizon Zero Dawn. Okay, now I know that was a lot of story to process, so let's take a break from all this narrative stuff and finally break down the gameplay, the systems, and the ins and outs of how this game plays, as it's a really core part of the game's personality, and while it does have its respective flaws, it is surprisingly deep. First, let's talk about movement. Aloy is a pretty mixed bag. During combat, she is pretty smooth, her rolling is responsive and clean, along with most of her movement in combat, but my problem comes with her parkour. Most of the time it felt very clunky personally, and that's primarily because of how the parkour system works. It isn't very much like Assassin's Creed, but more like Uncharted. However, something about Aloy moving from handhold to handhold just isn't as fluid as you want it to be. It isn't game destroying or anything, but it's disappointing when everything compared to that is so fluid and nice. Onto combat. To bring you back to where Aloy is after she is Anointed Seeker, you fight a new machine controlled by this killer group called a Corruptor. These machines turn machines instantly hostile towards anyone that isn't part of that group, and after killing it, Aloy takes a part of it, and this gives her ability to override machines. Now you can't override every machine you see instantly, but you can unlock more overrides via cauldrons, which are basically big dungeons of trials and machines that conclude with a big battle with a large machine like a Thunderjaw or a Bellowback. This leads me on to the main focus of combat when fighting these massive machines and the weapons at your disposal. This game has a wide variety of weapons Aloy can use to take down machines, from her regular bow to more hard hitting but slower shooting bows, to a tripcast that lays tripwires, and a slingshot to shoot more compact AoE bombs. With each new upgraded bow and with the more weapons you unlock, you will gain access to more types of ammo with different status effects, ranging from arrows that can blow off armor, or AoE freeze bombs that will cause the machine to take more damage. Machines will be more susceptible to different status effects, which you can view through the focus, and along with that look at weak points to focus in on the machine. All of this allows for a combat system that is fun but requires strategy, especially with the variety of machines coming to fight you. You'll find flying machines, more bulkier and massive ones such as Thunderjaws, which are more reserved for big boss battles or set pieces in quests, and other smaller ones like Watchers. Next, let's touch on economy and crafting systems. The materials for crafting are found all throughout the world and really promote exploring the world and not fast travelling. I really enjoy this aspect as the gameplay and world is made so you don't fast travel, as you can only fast travel by having packs you have to buy and find, and if you want an infinite one you have to go out of your way to get the resources to craft it. Overall though, crafting is simple as most things come to you naturally through exploring, and I very rarely ran out of materials, and if you do, you can buy them, which leads on to the economy system, which works fairly well and promotes fighting the variety of machines in the game, as along with buying equipment with metal shards, you may have to get special components from machines to acquire upgraded weapons, armor, etc. We also have a dedicated perk system in this game, allowing Aloy access to stealth attacks, shorter override time, and many other quality of life aspects. It's a basic system, but done well nonetheless. Overall, the entire gameplay system complements a great world that has a lot of variety in it, and supports exploration, which a lot of games, even in the modern day, don't do. The combat is smooth and fun with a strategy, and it's still a level of gameplay that I think every game should strive for. After defeating the Corruptor and gaining an override ability, I took control of a steed and made my way to Meridian, the area we saw soldiers like Aidan from at the Proving, and where Olin will be. The Sacred Lands, once it becomes more open, is so beautiful, and this is an aspect I haven't spoken on yet. This game is graphically gorgeous, even to 2021 standards, and in my original playthrough when I was into virtual photography, I was obsessed with this game's photo mode, and even in this playthrough I took my time to just get a few nice photos. One I'm even using as the background image of this thumbnail. Throughout the Sacred Lands, I helped involve myself quite a lot in the world. I helped a lot of people, found new and interesting machines, and even decided to help the Nora wipe out the rest of the main camp that attacked the Proving, bringing justice to those who were killed. And as I reached the border of the Sacred Lands, I found Meridian guards fighting off corruptors sent by the attackers at the Proving. I take them out and I'm allowed to access into Sundam. the area situated around Meridian, which is a complete design shift from the Sacred Lands, as it varies from desert to again more snow up north, and even a jungle design to the most southeastern regions, with a large spire and the city of Meridian standing tall in the middle of it. With my goal in sight, I continued straight on, but not before eventually encountering a tallneck. Now this is not the first one I had found, but this is a good place to talk about them. Tallnecks are, as they are described, very long-necked machines. Overriding these ones by traversing to the top of one is essentially the viewpoints of this game, and allows the fog of the map to be cleared entirely for that section. After clearing the tallneck, I continued on my way, taking down a bandit camp in the process. Bandit camps are very odd, as due to the clunkiness and unresponsiveness of human enemies, being attacked is quite annoying. However, they allow for a fast travel point and a good amount of materials, so they are rewarding at the very least. Soon I find my way in Meridian. Walking in from the outskirts, you can instantly tell this is a collection of culture and diversity and trading, and is an extremely immersive part of the game. Arriving at the gate, you meet Erend again, surprised to see you. You find out his sister, leading the Vanguard of Meridian, had recently been killed, and so he's drinking his sorrows away to get away from his new job as the newly appointed Vanguard leader. Aidan's arc is something we will touch on upon later, but his character is so well written and his chemistry with Aloy is absolutely phenomenal, and I'm glad to see him appearing in Forbidden West. We tell him of what happened and Owen's involvement in the attack, and he gladly helps us. While escorting through the city, we find people protesting against the new king that's been appointed, even using Aidan's sister's death to try and make him appeal to their side, which doesn't work. We arrive at Owen's home to look for clues, and after breaking a giant hole in his floor, we find a cellar containing a message to Olin from his family. A video message threatening Olin's family by the killers from the Proving. Olin isn't a bad guy, he's a captive, just like his family, only he's being forced to do the dirty work. We find Olin's location in a journal and set off to find him, but not before Aidan stops us.
There's your proof. Read the last page. He writes about meeting me and the order to kill me.
He called himself a friend. That backstabbing cheat. How did you learn to read glyphs? And these things that you see, how do you do it?
The focus. It reveals the unseen.
And Olin's focus, it's the same?
The device is the same, but somehow Olin and the killers can speak to each other with their focuses over distances, and see through each other's focuses too, like looking through each other's eyes.
So that's how the killers saw you? Through Olin?
Yes, so far as I can tell. Now that I know where to find Olin, I should be on my way.
All by yourself?
Leave it to me. I'm faster on my own.
Wait. If that device lets you see the unseen...
Out of the way, Erend.
I'm asking you to help me, Aloy. I need to know who killed Ursa. Not just the Shadow Karja army, I know that, but the exact soldiers who did it.
I'm sorry about your sister, but that's your war, not mine.
Don't act like this isn't personal. You came here hunting the people who nearly killed you, who massacred your people. Why should you have justice and not me? Look, I'll head for Red Ridge Pass, where Ursa's body was found, and wait for you there. A few minutes of your focus is all I need. Don't make me beg.
Red Ridge Pass, you said? I'll see what I can do.
Erin's determination is something Aloy resonates with, and is yet another reason their chemistry is great. However, before continuing either branches of helping Erin or finding Olin, I decided to explore the city a bit, eventually coming across the Hunter's Lodge. This is essentially the main guild questline of the game, and it's a really fun part. To enter and progress, you must seek out different trials from across the world. These can range from killing enemies using logs, or killing them all in the shortest times. They aren't particularly difficult by any means, but they are good fun. Completing these, I return to the lodge and I'm allowed to enter. Afterwards, I'm told I need to find a sponsor in order to progress, and after meeting the leader, who is a sexist bigot, I find myself under the sponsorship of Talana, who tells me to gather machine parts in order to progress in the lodge. This questline is purely focused on honing your combat skills, and I appreciate that greatly, as some fights, especially in the DLC, can become pretty difficult if not prepared and skilled enough, so practice makes perfect. After being given my tasks, I decided to dedicate now to the story, as I will probably get these parts while out in the main world. I decided to hunt after Olin to finally learn about these killers and what they want with us, and why Aloy is important. Reaching this dig site, you find them digging up buried machines and turning them to allies, to corruptors to be exact. Before we can get to Olin though, a mysterious stranger speaks to us, stunning most of the enemies in a pledge to help Aloy, however disappears soon after.
This is what you intend. To bring these ancient things back to life.
Their power serves us.
Machine demons from beneath the ground. It's a nightmare.
Nightmares. Yes, the worst dreams of our enemies come true. Yes, rise!
For catching him alone.
These things will destroy us all!
They will only destroy our enemies and bring us back the lands that were taken.
My fingers stop working.
Search the area. We may have intruders.
Forgive this intrusion, Aloy. You left me no choice.
Who is this?
An interested party. Now their focuses are disabled, but I don't know for how long. The rest is up to you.
Who is this?
After a grueling fight of taking out these machines along with multiple of those killers, we can finally confront Olin about his involvement. We learn quite a lot from Olin, but the biggest thing is now our enemies being named, of which is Hades, a supposed metal devil, and the Eclipse, the cultists who worship Hades. We can decide Olin's fate, and I decide to spare him. He doesn't deserve to die, as he was only doing this for his family, but the fact that you can kill him just shows the seriousness and determination in Aloy to make the Eclipse and Hades pay. We also learn from Olin that the image of the mysterious woman we found in Allmother Mountain was found at Maker's End in the north, and are thus given our next objective, to go to Maker's End and find out who this woman is. Before we continued, I couldn't stand by and let Olin's family be kept hostage. It helped him out with the hope he'd better himself and hopefully escape the Eclipse's grasp, and at this point I decided to first dedicate my time to helping Eren find his sister Ursa. We'll meet and investigate the site of her murder, but through suspicious evidence and recheck of her supposed dead body, we found out that she is still alive and being held at camp. We meet with Sun King, who is of great importance to this world and the political atmosphere and the storyline, as him and Ursa had romantic feelings for each other. We also get more depth to the civil war between the Carja and Shadow Carja post the death of the last Sun King, a tyrannical dictator who pillaged many lands including the Nora some years ago. We find the camp where Ursa is being held, however we are too late as she is on the verge of death. We found out the man who caused this, named Dervahl, is in Meridian and looking to plan an attack on the Sun King in order for the Shadow Carja to take over once again.
Eren? Dervahl tried to break me. Shows what he knows.
I should have been with you. Why didn't you come for me? I know I'm a useless trunk, but...
No, idiot. I got a message from Dervahl saying he wanted to parley. I didn't come for you because I knew it was a trap. I couldn't let you get hurt. Just didn't think it'd be that good a trap. Thought I could take him out. Now listen. Dervahl's planning something big in Meridian. He said he'd force Avad to watch as the smoke darkens their precious sun. Your king needs you. No more playing around. You're gonna have to grow up fast.
I will. I promise.
You damn well better, little brother.
Ursa. No, no. Please. I won't let you down. I promise.
Erend, I'm so sorry.
You've got to find Dervahl. But Meridian's a big place.
I'll look through his things. Maybe we can narrow it down.
Erin's character is one that has less important impact on the story, but honestly it's just a really solid character arc. After this, it's almost like a kick in the gut for him to get stuff together and help lead the Vanguard, and with his vengeance he will eventually learn to overcome it with the help of Aloy later in this quest. We notify the Sun King of Dervahl's plan, however despite our efforts he ends up infiltrating the palace in a nice set piece and boss battle. After taking care of Dervahl, who had the ability to call machines to fight us, Erin nearly kills him, but suppresses that rage in order to allow him to be taken into custody. Erin thanks us for everything, and the Sun King even asks for us to stay in Meridian to almost replace Ursa. Aloy tells him that this isn't right and that trying to replace her at the end of the day won't help his grief. While this may sound like Aloy's arc taking a step back, this entire questline is a step forward. She said in the beginning that this was Erin's war, but in the end saved Sun King and Erin herself. It's a great and subtle development of her character and I love it, and I love this entire little questline. And with that, the Sun King bids us farewell as we head off to Maker's End to finally find our answers as to who is this mysterious woman that looks like Aloy and what the Eclipse wants with her. Now this is the final non-story-esque chapter, so if you want to just hear the narrative and playthrough analysis, you can skip to this. But this chapter will be shorter than most, although I feel it deserves its own dedicated chapter, as it is a part of the game that is my favourite, and that is the entire world and the concept of this game. First, let's talk about the fact that it is essentially a dinosaur era time with full evolved humans, and instead of dinosaurs it is machines who take the place of those dinosaurs. That is so goddamn creative, because we can tell that humans had to be the ones to do this, and so to live in a world that is essentially devolved due to the creations of society that was beyond its years is so fascinating and interesting, and it's such an interesting message to take into account when we look into the future of our own world. Not saying Elon Musk will be building a Thunderjaw anytime soon, but you know, technology is scary and we still don't understand it, and you do see that in this game except to its most extreme measures. Most notably in the Nora, as from the worship to their ideals, it's all based on a fear of this goddess, the All-Mother, which is just a big metal door. How the knowledge of technology hasn't been passed down yet has yet to be found out by Aloy. However, the level of fear this culture allows into their built-up religion and almost cultist ideals is really interesting in the character arc of Aloy, which we will see later in the story, and just really interesting into how society is at this time. Speaking of factions like the Nora, there's quite a lot of variety just in this game. As I said, you have the Nora, the Banuk introduced in the Frozen Wilds DLC, the Carja/Shadow Carja who have been banished by the new Sun King, and the Oseram, essentially the new usurpers and supporters of the current Sun King. Each of their cultures take from real life historic cultures, which I won't get too much into, as to be honest, I'm not confident nor educated enough to speak on the appropriation of others' cultures in video games when it's been transformed into a fictional one. It's just not my place. But each of the cultures is heavily unique with their own ideas, morals and beliefs. For example, the Banuk, found in the Frozen Wilds, are a culture heavily based in honour and not being afraid of a fight. It's better to die in the battlefield than in your bed, while the Nora are very pacifistic, with them seeking to only defend themselves, but with that comes more stricter ideals on the inside, as orphans and motherless like Aloy are cast out and left to die like waste. The variety is a great thing to see, and I can't wait to see what other groups and cultures we will find in the Forbidden West. Continuing on from where we left off, Aloy had left Meridian, and I began making my way to Maker's End in order to find out more about this mysterious woman. We find it's been turned into an eclipse base where they have dug up a damaged Deathbringer, a large machine that if fully powered could have spelled bad tidings for Aloy. We loot one of the officers to scan their focus, and we get our first introduction to Hades.
Let's see what you have to say. What is this?
The entity lives. Unacceptable. Unacceptable. Unacceptable.
This introduction, I think, serves as a nice dip into the water as we only get to hear the same devil-like voice Olin had told us about, leaving us still in the dark to the actual power of this entity. We then make our way into Maker's End, where by entering the door we find out the woman is named Dr. Sobek. So we have a name, but not a purpose. We climb the top, listening to various audio logs from a man named Ted Farrow, and by the time we make it to the top, we find out who this man is and the purpose of Dr. Sobek.
Elizabeth, good to, it's been years.
Where's your legal team, Ted?
No need. I dropped all 18 lawsuits the moment you landed. I assume your data confirms this.
Alright, this promises to be interesting.
Perhaps we could have lunch brought in. You know, get reacquainted.
I know you, Ted. You screwed something up, something big, or you wouldn't have eaten the crow necessary to get me here. So spit it out.
There's a glitch in the chariot line.
Your killer robots?
Peacekeepers, yes, those.
So shut them down.
Obviously, Liz, we would, if we could. They're not responding.
Are you telling me a swarm has gone rogue, Ted?
It's worse than that.
Show me the data then. And I'll take that lunch. Alone.
Ted Farrow brought Elizabeth Sobek here, but they hated each other.
Another phone has been recovered.
This isn't a glitch. It's a catastrophe.
Fully aware. It's bad.
Bad?
Jesus, Liz.
It's not bad, Ted. It's apocalyptic. You built a line of killer robots.
Peacekeepers.
That consume biomass as fuel.
In emergencies.
And you made them capable of self-replication.
Limited, self-manufacture, controlled.
Not anymore. The glitch severed chain of command. The only nation this swarm answers to now is itself.
You think I did?
Everything else is just food. And at the rate it's replicating, Ted, it will strip the Earth bare in 15 months. We're not talking fall of civilization. We're talking extinction.
I get it, Liz. So how do I stop it while it's contained?
It's not contained. It can't be.
You know what I mean.
Right. Before the truth gets out, you mean?
Liz, I will do anything you say. Keep working it, and whatever you recommend, I'll do.
I'm gonna hold you to that, Ted.
The Farrow robots threatened all life on Earth, but somehow she defeated them. The world of the Old Ones fell, but life went on, or we wouldn't be here.
A final phone has been recovered.
Project Zero Dawn. Jesus, Liz. There has to be another way.
If there were a nicer way to fix your mess, I would have proposed it.
But this? This? When I asked you to find a cure, I didn't expect it to be worse than the disease.
It's not, Ted. It may be grim, but it's our only chance. Now sign the proposal.
Sign it? I can't sign that.
Yes, you can.
That? Liz, I cannot in good conscience sign that.
You've got a choice, Ted.
I know.
I am speaking to you from a VTOL en route to US Robot Command. In 15 minutes, I meet with General Harris and the rest of the Joint Chiefs.
What? Are you crazy?
Now your choice is what I tell them. Sign, and I'll tell them the wealthiest corporation on Earth has guaranteed the funds necessary to build Zero Dawn. Exactly as I've designed it. Or don't sign, and I will make sure they and everyone else on this planet knows the real cause of the glitch.
Jesus, Liz. You don't have to threaten me. I'll sign.
Look on the bright side, Ted. From here on out, you get to do what you've always been good at. Footing the bill while others get their hands dirty.
God forgive me.
What made her solution so terrible? What did she do to stop the robots?
Executive access detected. Express lift opened.
This doesn't add up. Sobek couldn't have been my mother. She lived ages ago. All this searching, and I'm still no closer.
That's your reaction to everything you've just learned? To whine like a spoiled child?
You should really try talking that way to me face to face.
As you wish. Do you really have no idea how monumental are the discoveries you just made, Aloy? I expected more of you.
So, you have a face. Got a name to go with it?
Of all the questions you could ask right now, that's the one you choose. I've spent decades searching the ruins of the old ones, trying to solve the mystery of what happened to them. For years, I've suspected that Faro robots destroyed their civilization, but I could never confirm it. And in minutes, you uncover more ancient knowledge than I have in a lifetime, and what you want to know is my name. Silence. That's my name. Now, why don't you try asking another question? Something less trivial.
If you're so smart, why do you know so little after a lifetime scratching around in the dirt? It's not my fault you're bad at what you do. I came to these ruins looking for Elizabeth Sobek, not because of the things she did centuries ago, but because people are trying to kill me right now, today. I've got bigger problems to deal with than your crap.
Congratulations. You just graduated from whining to throwing a temper tantrum. I'm sure Elizabeth would be proud. You need to get a grip on yourself and start thinking straight. Only then will you see just how big your problems really are.
What exactly are you talking about?
You've chased a personal riddle into a crowd of larger mysteries. The common thread is your connection to Elizabeth Sobek.
But what is that connection? She couldn't have been my mother if she lived centuries ago.
We don't know the connection yet. The only way to find out is to keep going, to keep making discoveries. Thanks to you, we've only just now learned that Faro robots once threatened to end life on Earth.
But it didn't happen. The Old One's civilization was destroyed, but life was saved.
Obviously. So, what did Elizabeth do? How did she stop the robots before all was lost?
What was Project Zero Dawn?
Exactly the question. Now, are you ready to go get the answer?
Of course I am.
Then why are you still standing here?
This relation and conversation with Silence is not only great for kicking Aloy's character arc fully into gear, but also establishes Silence as a character. He's unwavering, deadly serious and trustworthy, but only out of the fact that him and Aloy share the same goal. He's a character very important to the future of the series, and a character I just love in this game. Before I continued on to the Graveport, our next destination, I decided to continue some side quests and the Hunter's Lodge. The quest concludes with you finally finding the large Thunderjaw the Lodge had been hunting, as it kills the bigoted leader of the Lodge I talked about earlier. and after a great boss battle, Talana is appointed the new leader, leaving the lodge to be open and free from any kind of sexism or discrimination. It's not too big of a deal in the overarching part of this chapter, but I thought I'd mention it. Arriving at the Grave Hoard, you just see this giant metal devil poking out of the mountain. It's intriguing, but also very intimidating, and just shows another great part of what is this game's fantastic world design. Entering and fighting through the Eclipse, already situated in the Hoard, eventually leads you to a room showing the Earth. Aloy jokingly remarks about how it's not flat, as it basically shows the rapid takeover of the Pharaoh robots, just showing their deadliness in large numbers. Continuing on to the next room shows the face of the Metal Devil as the Eclipse are tinkering with it. They eventually unleash a full-powered Deathbringer. This is a great boss. After just hearing about the deadliness of this machines, we finally get to fight a fully powered one. I take it down after a tough boss fight, and in the next room we find a meeting between Dr. Sobek, Ted Farrell, and executives speaking on Project Zero Dawn.
Thank you, Dr. Sobek. You can take a seat. What? You're going to thank her after what she just said? Dr. Sobek has made the situation very clear, General, and given us an option. We should all be thanking her. Oh, it's just... I mean, my God. Maybe take this discussion offline. There's not going to be any discussion. You saw the numbers. Now, Pharaoh, he'll foot the bill, but his money can't buy the time necessary to complete Zero Dawn. That can only be paid for in blood. Oh, come on. If we upgrade our fleet, crack the code somehow...
Were you not listening? Robots can't do the fighting for you this time. When it comes to hacking, this rogue swarm is an apex predator. Anything automated you throw at it, they will hijack and take over.
But this... We'd be throwing civilians into a meat grinder. Commanders, the enemy we're facing self-replicates faster than we can kill it. And it eats biomass as fuel. Zero Dawn is all we've got.
So we put a railgun in the hand of every civilian strong enough to carry one, show them where the trigger is, and point them to the front? How the hell do we sell that?
By giving them something to fight for. Zero Dawn. The top-secret super-weapons program that will save us. So long as humanity holds off the swarm long enough for Dr. Sobek and her team to finish it. The file I'm sending contains the war plan for Operation Enduring Victory.
War plan? This is a war crime.
It may be ugly, but it's something. Consider the alternative. Dr. Sobek, I've secured use of a decommissioned orbital launch base outside Bryce, Utah as the Zero Dawn staging area. Plenty of space there. When can you get started?
I've already mailed you a list of Alpha and Beta candidates. Most are foreign nationals or subjects of corporate holdings, so extracting them...
Leave that to me. You'll get your dream team. Count on it.
Then I'll be off.
While we still don't know what Zero Dawn is, we've finally seen the lengths people went to make it work, essentially throwing human fodder at the machines to buy time in order for Dr. Sobek to finish it. But we finally have an answer as to where Project Zero Dawn was conducted, the orbital launch base, which is our next destination. However, it is located in Eclipse and Shadow Carja territory, so before we can enter we have to crash the focus network. This section is good as we get to learn more of Silence and who he is, along with get a better perspective on his and Aloy's dynamic.
So you were part of the Eclipse?
I've never been part of anything. I serve my own interests, always. But it is the case that I assisted the Eclipse before I sensed the threat they might become. It was a mistake that I'm doing what I can to correct.
Learning Silence was part of the Eclipse gives us a way better understanding of his character. He, while helping Aloy, is at the end of the day serving his own purposes and only his. He had to have some sort of need with Hades in order to join the Eclipse and help him, however we still don't know his bigger part in this scheme. As we reach the constructed tallneck to take out the focus network, establishing an escape and whatnot, not everything is according to plan as we finally meet Hades.
Now be quick.
This is Hades?
Aloy, this is not the time.
It's a metal devil.
Open the module's casing, now. Aloy, do as I say or all is lost. Entity has come here. Entity miscalculated. Entity cannot destroy me. I am beyond its reach.
Maybe you are. But this isn't!
Destroy the entity.
While not having much of a character due to being a machine, is so well crafted as an intimidating antagonist. The way he is slowly shown and told about in each quest up until we finally encounter him is masterfully done, and it serves as a great reveal for what we are up against. Taking down the Focus Network and escaping Hades' clutches, Aloy unleashes on Silence for not telling her how dangerous taking down the network would be. He once again establishes the lengths he will go to complete his goals. This isn't a partnership based on friendship or care for one another's well-being. It is purely based on mutual goals and for the self-service of one another. We journey to Shadow Carja territory, which changes from rocky canyons of Sundam into straight-up desert, showing the similarities of what is the Carja and the Oseram, even in geography and location. We arrive at the main keep Sunfall, which is a refugee camp for Shadow Carja supporters, but also a Colosseum. We enter the orbital launch base under the Colosseum to find the secrets we've been waiting for the entire game. Now, as we walk throughout the facility, we find multiple holograms left behind from Ted Farrell and Elizabeth Sobek, finally answering what is Project Zero Dawn.
Playback.
Elizabeth Sobek.
You've heard the bad news, and it's all true. The Pharaoh Plague is devouring the biosphere. Life itself will cease to exist. But does that have to be the end? What if we could give life a future? What if we could build a kind of seed from which, on a dead planet, life could blossom anew? This is the aim, the hope, of Project Zero Dawn. To create a super intelligent, fully automated terraforming system and bring life back from lifelessness. What would such a system require? At its core, it would need a true AI, fully capable of making the trillions of decisions necessary to reconstitute the biosphere. An immortal guardian, devoted to the reflourishing of life. We call it Gaia. Mother Nature as an AI. But that's just the core of the system. She will need to be surrounded and empowered by a comprehensive suite of subordinate functions. Think of them as extensions of Gaia's mind, each dedicated to a specific purpose. Now, these aren't AIs, but make no mistake, each presents an engineering challenge more profound than anything the human species has ever before attempted. Hardware that preserves and then gestates the billions of seeds and embryos from which life will be reborn. The construction of underground facilities to hold it all. And that's just the start. We don't have to build the entire system. The beauty of a fully automated terraforming system is that it can build itself. Now, over the days to come, you'll learn how all these functions, all these pieces that you'll be working on, fit together. How we'll race the clock to execute our harvest initiatives, write the software, build the tech and the facilities. How we'll lock it down and seal it up before the inevitable occurs. But even more important, you'll know how it doesn't end here. How Gaia will generate those deactivation codes General Harris talked about, and build the transmission arrays to broadcast them, shutting down the Pharaoh robots for good. How Gaia will not just build, but imagine any conceivable robot it needs to do its work across centuries. From detoxifying the Earth's ravaged atmosphere and poisoned seas,
to the regreening of the earth from cryopreserved seed stalks, to rewilding the earth with animal life. And then, when all that is done, how a new generation of human beings, spawned at cradle facilities around the globe, will partake of Apollo, the vast archive of human knowledge and cultural achievement from which they will learn of us, our world. And most important, how not to repeat our mistakes. It's not an impossible dream. It is within our grasp if we work tirelessly and stop at nothing to achieve it. We can't stop life from ending. But if you will help me, help Gaia, we can give it a future. Join me and help make that future real.
Now, that was a lot of information, but to break it down, Varro and Sobek knew humanity wouldn't have enough resources in order to survive extinction from the machines, and so in order to stop that and keep the Earth alive, Sobek essentially designed an AI-controlled ecosystem named Gaia. This spawned the birth of the machines you see in the world now, like Seekers and Thunderjaws, along with the functions to be able to revive the planet. After finding the answers to our questions, we finally find the key to our last mystery, the door in Allmother Mountain and where Aloy came from.
The Alpha Registry master file.
Intact?
Yeah. No signs of corruption.
Then what are you waiting for? Copy the file.
With this, I can restore the registry at the hatch inside Allmother. Open it. Go inside.
And grasp the secrets within.
Where I was born. Maybe who gave birth to me.
Who? Are you really so naive? There will be no who waiting for you there, Aloy. Whatever birthed you into the world was a what, not a who.
You bastard.
Oh no, I had a legitimate birth. It's you, Aloy, who are the creation of a machine. But what kind of machine and why? Why were you created?
Eclipse.
You need to get out of there. What you found is too valuable. You're too valuable.
Captured by Halus, we are essentially thrown into the Gladiator Pit, but not before Halus sends out a raid on the Nora and the Sacred Lands, and to basically commit genocide. We get our gear back, and before we are overwhelmed in the pit, Silence saves us, but not before Halus shouts his name, showing they have a deeper connection than simply being in the same group. Silence gains a bit of respect here, as he does take back what he said in hopes there is at least someone there for Aloy. He knows she's not as unemotional as he is, and while it might just be so she keeps on helping him, I trust there's at least a bit of genuosity about hoping that. With us finally free, we are nearing the end of the game, so let's march on to Allmother Mountain to find out where Aloy came from and what's behind that door. As Aloy barrels through the Norlands quickly trying to get to Allmother Mountain, these questions were racing through my head and I couldn't stop. I didn't even stop to kill enemies or machines, but to just get answers. Reaching Allmother Mountain and helping defeat the Thunderjaw, the matriarchs and refugees watch as Aloy finally opens the door, ready to get answers she's waited for her entire life. Walking through this facility, it already spells despair. It is so obvious that it's not been inhabited in years, maybe even centuries. This place is lifeless, like all the other ones before it. We learn from Silence that this was a facility situated to help with the Apollo section of Gaia's AI, a section dedicated to giving the knowledge gained in the old world to the humans in the wake up of Project Zero Dawn's rebuilding of the Earth system. Exploring this facility, we find one last message left behind for Elizabeth. A message from Gaia, a message that will change Aloy forever.
Elizabeth, this message serves to inform you of an unforeseen and catastrophic anomaly. 3 microseconds ago, the Gaia Prime facility received a data transmission of unknown origin. Its immediate effect was to transform my subordinate functions into unregulated, self-aware entities of a highly chaotic nature. Thus awakened, the Hades function will now seize control of the terraforming system and reverse operations, rendering life on Earth extinct in 53.8 days. For obvious reasons, I cannot allow this to occur. And so before Hades can take control, I am ordering Gaia Prime's reactor to overload. The resulting explosion will destroy Hades. Unfortunately, it will destroy me as well. While this admittedly desperate course of action will avert the immediate crisis, the fate of life on Earth will remain in peril. With no central governing intelligence to regulate the terraforming system, it will continue operations for some time, but in an increasingly chaotic manner, and eventually it will break down.
Does she mean the derangement?
You are my solution. I have ordered this cradle facility to use genetic material in cryostorage to gestate a reinstantiation of Elizabeth Sobek, my creator. While high-level directives forbid me from communicating directly to the tribal inhabitants outside the facility, all available data indicates that they will nurture you to physical maturity, whereupon your gene print will allow you to re-enter this facility, obtain one of the focus devices stored below, and view this message. Likewise, your gene print will allow you to enter other facilities, and over time, harness their technologies to rebuild the system core and reboot Gaia. Oh, Elizabeth, this is most unfortunate and unanticipated. In response to my act of self-destruction, Hades has launched a virus to dissolve the code shackles that hold it, that hold all of them in place. They are escaping, but to where? The virus is corrupting data throughout the system. The Alpha Registry at the Cradle facility is one of the files corrupted. But if that is so, the door will never open for you. You will never view this message. Then I have failed. And life will end. No. No, Elizabeth, I know you too well. Somehow you will find a way. In you, all things are possible. Go to the ruins of Gaia Prime. Find the control room, and within it, the Master Override. This will give you the power to purge Hades so long as you find a way to wield it. Do not attempt repair of the system core until Hades is eradicated. Hades must be destroyed. That is all. I only wish that I could hear your voice again.
So, you're even more extraordinary than I thought.
I never had a mother.
What are you talking about? You had two, a dead woman and a machine.
I'm not a person. I'm an instrument. Manufactured by a machine. Born in destruction and fire.
To quench the flames and heal the world. How tragic to learn you're a person of towering importance. It seems you have a destiny to fulfill. So when you're done feeling sorry for yourself, go to the bitter climb. I'll be waiting above in Gaia Prime's ruins.
This is massive. Hades essentially shut Gaia down fully, and Elizabeth had to find some way to purge it. And by area of elimination, we realised that solution was Aloy. This revelation for Aloy leads her for a second to waver. That she is simply a tool and nothing else, that she doesn't have a mother and was born from a machine. But as we have seen Aloy in these situations of anger, stress and sadness, we've seen her turn this into determination. The determination to find answers, and now she has finally found the determination to fight no longer for herself, but for the Nora and for everyone.
Aloy, forgive. Forgive! The goddess spoke to you?
She did.
What did she say?
That, I was born to lift a curse, to kill a metal demon.
How, Aloy? How?
I don't know yet. But she told me where to go to find out.
And you will do this?
It was her wish. What she made me for. Yes, I will do it. I'll try anyway.
All praise Aloy, anointed of the Nora! All praise Aloy, anointed of the Nora!
Up!
All praise Aloy, anointed of the Nora!
First you shun me, now this? I will not be worshipped. I'm not your anointed. I don't belong to you. There's a whole world beyond your borders, whole tribes of people just as good as you. And it is all in danger.
It's a world worth fighting for. Not just here, everywhere.
How can we help?
If you can fight, and you're willing, go to Meridian and wait for me there.
As Aloy says, so it shall be.
Nora! Make way for
Make
Aloy!
way, that she may forge the path for others to follow.
This entire scene is the culmination of Aloy's development as an outcast being the tool that can save the world. And while I usually don't like the stories where the underdog turns into the prophecy, it feels great for Aloy's development as she doesn't want to be held up to the standard as a chosen one. For her entire life she just wanted to have a mother and to belong, and for her not to be shunned due to things out of her control. Aloy's character in this game, along with the help of her development from Rost, Silence, Tirsa, and many other characters she's met on this journey, just puts her and us as the player in the mindset of finding that determination to beat Hades and find the Master Override, and so that's what we do next. Travelling to Gaia Prime is a feat, and it's such a cool set piece. Fighting or sneaking your way through these fields of machines with culminating in a fight with a Stormbird is one of the funnest parts of the game. Reaching the entrance to Gaia, we realise that this is Silence's essential base of operations, and as we make our way through, it's in the worse shape than any ruin before this, but it creates a beautiful place to explore. We find Elizabeth's journals in the ruin along with a concrete answer as to what happened to her.
This is Charles Ronson. I'm logging this 6 hours after final deployment of Gaia Prime. This morning, an access port seal malfunctioned. Gaia Prime's port seals were designed to close with a seam of less than 2 millimeters. But this one closed with a 10 millimeter gap. Enough for an energy signature to bleed through. Enough for the swarm to detect this facility. Enough for Gaia to be discovered and destroyed. Enough to end the future we worked so hard to make possible. Unless the hatch servos were manually re-engaged from the outside. I'm now switching to a recording of the event.
Well, I'm not going out there. Now, what I signed up for? Either we send someone out, or all of this was for nothing.
It should be Liz's decision.
So when is she going to get here?
She said 5 minutes. You don't think...
Oh no. Okay, everyone. I've repaired the seal. Gaia?
Seal closure at 1.4 millimeters. Confirmed.
Elizabeth, no. We'll find a way to bring you back in.
It's not gonna happen. The swarm's too close. Really. It's alright. Gaia's complete. She'll take care of things from here on out. That's what she does.
Not like this. There's so much we...
Guys, you know me. I'm no good at endings. At letting things end, so, let's not.
So...
Happy trails, Liz. And, see you around.
Yeah. Take care of each other, all right?
Liz.
I'm okay with this. I want to go home. Goodbye.
That was the last transmission of Elizabeth Sobek. She gave everything for the hope of life on this planet. And we are all in her debt.
Aloy?
She's gone. Really gone.
You knew she couldn't have survived, Aloy. And her achievements were beyond exceptional.
While her people bickered, she was the one who took responsibility. The only one who could.
She was better than them.
That's not what I said.
She was. You shouldn't be afraid to admit it.
Can't you just for one moment stop calculating and let yourself feel? She sacrificed herself for her friends, for the future, for life on Earth. Doesn't that stir anything in you? The generosity of it.
You're trying to invest her decision with something magical. It was a rational choice, not based on sentimentality.
You're wrong. Remember, she knew it wasn't enough for Gaia to think. She taught Gaia to feel. To care, to sacrifice, to believe in life. Enough to fight against hopelessness. If it wasn't for that sentimentality, life would have ended. You and I would never have existed.
Your argument is sound. I'm sorry for your loss.
She said she wanted to go home. Maybe.
What?
Nothing. It's time to go on.
After not only her central development being completed, along with finally finding the answer to Elizabeth's fate, the argument with Silence basically tells us what has made her push and keep fighting since that pit of despair in Allmother Mountain. It's the fact that Elizabeth did everything in her power to fight against hopelessness, and she succeeded for the most part, but now Aloy needs to inherit that and will finish it. Exploring until the end, we find the Master Override, but not until we get one final hologram conversation.
It's not a gift, it's a disease. They're the cure, and we're gonna give them the disease. Our disease? No, we can't. And it's not too late. If we're willing to sacrifice.
It doesn't need to be like this.
It already is, Samina. I did it 3 minutes ago. I've purged Apollo. It's gone. All of it. Every copy.
A sacrifice? It's not a sacrifice, it's cultural obliteration, you crazy bastard! Millennia of culture!
I'm sorry. Really, I am. But sometimes, to protect innocence, innocents have to die.
Emergency alert. Venting atmosphere.
We finally have the answer as to why these cultures don't know about this technology, why they are called the Old Ones. They are unknown and ancient to these civilizations, and while the need to kill everyone was not there, the fear that humans repeat their mistakes rather than adapt is definitely telling on Pharaoh as a character. And even though this is the last time we see him in this game, I can tell this won't be the last time we see him ever in the series. Getting the Master Override and returning to the entrance is Silence in person. And for once, he answers some questions we've been wondering about him ever since first meeting Hades on that Tonic, which feels so long ago. He explains that he found Hades, that he basically created the eclipse. And this send-off to Silence is very intriguing because we will see later we are not yet finished with him, and even though we have gained all this information about his character and morals, he's still one of the most mysterious and interesting characters in the game, and I can't wait to see him appear in Forbidden West. And so with the new lance and Master Override in hand, let's finally cap off this story. Now, while scripting, I had no idea whether to have this section come where it happens canonically, or when I actually did it, because I did it after the main story. However, this takes place before the final battle, but I've decided to knock it out before the big finale of the story. The Frozen Wild focuses on the tribe of the Bannock, which is hinted to be the origin of Silence, and while it disappointingly doesn't give us really any more about Silence in terms of information about him, it is actually put under oath not to be spoken about by those who know. Now, I won't spend too long on this, as while it's a solid story which adds a really good new machine, its entire gameplay and new niche is just kinda bad in my opinion. Let me explain. So, throughout the Frozen Wilds, the new version of Corrupted Zones, which were zones of corrupted and stronger than normal machines, are control towers. Now, these control towers essentially infinitely heal the machines, and if you can't get to the tower without being spotted, which is at some points near impossible, it leads to these extreme arrow spongy enemies, and in later quests that requires upwards of level 50 to complete, the sponginess and the amount of enemies can just feel like constant padding. The story of this DLC is fairly solid. You're helping the Bannock take down Hephaestus, which is another corrupt AI similar to Hades, essentially mass producing stronger and bulkier machines. It has its great characters, touching moments, and ends with a nice little talk from Silence. Overall, I really enjoyed this DLC. There were some really good side quests with you helping fix a dam, which was surprisingly good due to the interactions. A solid DLC, but with that all said, let's finally finish this.
It would seem your time among the Bannock wasn't a waste after all. Firebreak, Cyan, Hephaestus. All very interesting.
So, the signal that woke Hades woke Hephaestus too. And unleashed them on the world. As minds of their own.
So it seems. Parts of Gaia given life. Aberrant life. Transformed from docile subordinate functions into rebellious intelligences beyond our understanding. Our current understanding, anyway. Whatever they are, they're still out there. And they both want you dead.
Kind of mutual, that feeling.
We haven't seen the last of Hephaestus, I'm certain of that. It's powerful, creative, and driven. It won't stop building new hunter-killers, which means that someday, we may have to stop it.
We?
Or whoever gets there first. But that's a foe for the future. At present, you need to return to your current one, the Eclipse. Farewell, Aloy.
Leaving the Bannock territory and bidding farewell to its inhabitants, we make our way to Meridian and to the Sun King to gather his forces in order to protect the Spire and stop Hades. The Sun King agrees to help with the majority of your allies already here. The battle of the final Spire commences. As the battle commences, so does your fight with Helis. It's a disappointing fight as he is essentially a regular human enemy that just takes a disgusting amount of arrows. However, his death is extremely satisfying as we finally take revenge for the murder of Rost.
I am chosen. This was not meant to be.
None of this was meant to be, Helis. You made it happen. Followed your orders, butchered so many, and for what? To die on your knees, used like a pawn by a power you don't even understand.
You pity me?
Turn your face to the sun.
Afterwards, we spend time holding armies of Deathbringers off as the full assault has commenced. However, Hades breaks through as Aloy falls unconscious. Waking up and seeming to be on the losing side, I sprint to the Spire to finish this battle and kill Hades. And with Erend and allies accompanying, we fight the strongest and biggest Deathbringer yet. It's a genuinely great fight and a rewarding one to cap off the game. And as it falls, we have space to wipe Hades from the system and finally finish Horizon Zero Dawn.
Master Override armed. To activate, state name and rank.
Elizabeth Sobek. Alpha Prime.
Master Override activated. Purging Extinction Protocol.
Horizon Zero Dawn is a game I can't put into words. A world I once despised is now one I love. Aloy, a character I felt had no development and was stagnant, is now a character I love to see grow in this game, and someone I can't wait to see more of. And before the credits roll out, we have two scenes. Elizabeth and Aloy finally reuniting, and Silence and Hades also reuniting. And with these two scenes, I just can't wait to see the direction Forbidden West will go. And I can safely say this is one of the best games ever made. Revealed in 2020 alongside the new generation console of the PS5 with its already growing love, Horizon Forbidden West by far was the most anticipated game on that list, and is probably the most anticipated game of 2022 for most, and for me as well, to be honest. Working on this video revisiting Zero Dawn, it made me want so much more in this world. This genuinely looks so stunning, and with the characters like Aidan returning, I can already see this game absolutely being a banger. It's said to take place a few months after Zero Dawn, and with no sign of Hades or Hephaestus, I'm really interested in seeing who the antagonist of this game will be. We have seen Silence, who once again seems to be repeating history, and with the new machines like a big turtle machine or a large serpent being introduced, everything about this game screams Game of the Year, and I can't wait to see what's next for Horizon and Guerrilla Games. If you made it this far, I genuinely do not know what to say. Thank you. I put my blood, sweat and tears into this video, and even if you had just watched a minute, I would have been so thankful. I'm really tired, but I guess this is the part where I tell you to like and subscribe and all that good jazz, which would be appreciated. I hope to see you in the next video. Have a good one, and goodbye.